Hello everybody, welcome to the Technical Analysis webinar here with AvaTrade. My name is Troy, I'll be presenting. As always, keep in mind that there's risk involved with each trade that you take, so you want to manage risk in a way that makes sense for you, for your risk tolerance and your profit goals. And keep in mind that what we go over is not meant to be financial advisement, but is coming from an educational perspective. Now, from our main website, we can log into our web trader platform, which allows you to trade on your MT4 and MT5 accounts, but with some advanced tools for technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and also for risk management built into the order window. It makes it easy. Some of the features that are built into it make it easy to manage your risk and understand how much exposure you have for different trade sizes and your potential profit and such. So we'll go over some of those ideas if we have some trade opportunities that we might be interested in. Now, to log into our web trader, in the upper right corner, you just press login and enter your details. Now, our mobile app has the same functionality and features that you'll see in the web trader here too as well. So if you're trading on the go, you can use the AvaTrade app, and then you have the signals and the trading tools just like you see here. Now, given that it's a technical analysis webinar, we're going to spend some time doing technical analysis, but we should talk a little bit about the fundamental news situation. Currently, there's a bit of tension on the markets. That might be an understatement. I don't know if you're paying attention to the DeepSeek storyline. This is a company out of China that really shook the tech side of things on the markets. They've come out with maybe an AI tool that's a lot cheaper to operate, a lot cheaper to develop and train. The AI that's built into it, they can do it supposedly with less energy cost and with less expensive computer chips. And so this really shook the tech sector, specifically NVIDIA and any companies directly related to supplying energy to companies like NVIDIA. They were ramping up power stations and all of these things for the anticipated need for high energy cost for running NVIDIA's best AI chips. And if DeepSeek is for real, and I guess it needs to be verified still, but if they did find a way to do what NVIDIA, or I should say to do what the OpenAI does with their AI programming, but at a much lower cost and without NVIDIA's high-end chips, then that's a really big deal for the markets. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But that has put a lot of fear on the markets right now, and we've seen that with the sell-off yesterday or the day before yesterday. There was a bit of a bounce back yesterday, and now today it seems on the verge of maybe the market trying to sell a bit. And if that wasn't enough, now we're leading into, in a couple hours, the US has an interest rate decision, and the FOMC committee that makes that decision, along with Jerome Powell, will have a statement and some information coming out about what they think about monetary policy moving forward. And really, it's expected that they're going to hold the interest rate the same without lowering it. And if they talk with more ideas about holding the rates and not cutting interest rates moving forward because of fear of inflation, you could see that spook the markets further. So it depends how they speak and what they do. If they unexpectedly lower the interest rate in the US, you could see a positive response on the markets, with the markets flying back up, which is kind of what the expectation would be anyways with an unexpected rate cut. But we'll see what happens. If by chance they unexpectedly raise the interest rate, which that isn't the expectation, we also could see a drastic move, maybe on the downside with the equities. When I say the markets, I mean the equities, the stocks, the major indices. But we'll see. Some other data that came out of the U.S. Specifically, the crude oil inventories and inventories of gasoline were much higher than expected, meaning there's an economic slowdown maybe, and that could affect the maybe put bearish pressure, downward pressure on crude oil and gasoline prices, but we'll see how that works out. So all of that is mixed in right now for the fundamentals. Then as we jump into the technical analysis, we have to keep that in mind that there's a lot of volatility. There's been a lot of dropping today after an initial rise, but now there seems to be a bounce back up in the markets as we get closer to the FOMC statement and rate decision. Okay, so let's take a look maybe at some of the signals that are out there. If we're looking at something like Euro USD, I would expect to see that the US dollars may be trying to be bullish and pulling down on the euro. But let's check if there's a technical signal. We click this little symbol here. There is a buy signal on the Euro USD, and it's been climbing off the support level. If we look here, we've got a support level that it already climbed off of, and it's worked its way not quite to the take profit zone, but it's gotten close. I would hesitate on this signal right now. Number one, because it's already carried about 2/3 of the way up, and it looks like it might try to reach that, but most of that signal distance has already occurred. It's close to the first take profit line here, the first resistance level, but also with the rate decision coming, if indeed the US does not lower the interest rate and they hold it steady, that could get the USD bouncing around quite a bit. Let's take a look maybe outside of the signal, which is a buy signal, to see if we see any resistance levels up here. And as we start to draw lines on this chart, we could see resistance here. Okay, why do I call this a resistance level? Because, and you see it's the same level here, approximately, that the signal is saying you might take profit, that it says there's resistance there. That's this area up here, and they have theirs maybe a hair higher like that. But what we're looking at is in the past, when the price hit this zone, it dropped. It hit again here and hesitated, and then once it went above, that became support, and then once it went below, that became resistance, and resistance. So this is an important price level on the chart in terms of support and resistance theory. And that's why this signal is set up that if you're buying, you might find resistance in this area here, which is the area that I just drew here, give or take a couple pips, okay? So it looks like this might try to carry up here, but I think we're gonna get some jolts with the USD pairings as we get closer to the FOMC statement. So one possibility here is if you think the USD could strengthen because of the rate decision coming up, but you're afraid this might keep climbing, you could put a pending order right where this signal says to sell. If you were buying, they're saying sell here, so that might be a spot to put a pending order to sell. Even if you don't want to get in late on the buy, you could trust the resistance level maybe with your stop loss up above that, that if this price does reach here, then you could be looking potentially to sell on the Euro USD. Just keep in mind, when that rate decision comes and the FOMC statement comes 30 minutes after that this evening, you could see some big spikes. Even if it's going to drop, you could see a big spike up before that happens. And so one thing you could keep in mind here is maybe you think the USD will strengthen, that the rate decision is coming, and you start looking at the larger candles here, say one-day candles, and you see that below this resistance level that we drew, if this did drop, you've got the next support levels way down here, 103.30, nearly 100 pips down before we start to hit these support levels that I drew down at the lower levels. Okay, so if you are afraid it could spike up and hit a stop loss on a sell, for example, but you think eventually after the rate decision, the USD might strengthen with a lot of the fear on the market about the DeepSeek's story and the rates being held steady, and maybe you think the FOMC committee in the US will start to talk about also being cautious about lowering interest rates moving forward as well. That could strengthen the USD if they talk that way. So there's no guarantee they will, but then you risk manage the trade. And since we expect big spikes with the rate decision, and maybe gapping on the chart, and it could gap past your stop loss. If you're putting a stop loss a short distance up, maybe there's slippage and you lose bigger than you wanted on a sell. So in this scenario, it's perfect to use AvaProtect. Okay, so I can say, you know what? Let me put a decent sized trade. Let me see if I protect this trade through the announcement. I could protect by the hour. Okay, 3 hours, 6 hours. This is up to me how much protection I want to pay for, how much time, and how, do I want to be patient with this move? If I do 6 hours, that gets me several hours past the announcement. And if it spiked up, I don't lose anything more than the cost of the protection, even if it goes 200 pips the wrong way. But if it goes 200 pips the right way, I make a huge profit, right? So I can protect just past the announcement, or I can even be more patient and protect to tomorrow. 1 day protection, 2 days protection. Okay, let's look at the profit potential. If this, and let me delete some of these lines down here. We don't need so many support levels. We'll find the one we like the best, technically speaking. If you think this could drop, certainly there's support here. We see this spike here and it bounced. Here, it came up off of that. It took some energy and then it broke below that, and that became resistance for a while. Then it went above and back below, and it was a resistance here again. Once it got back above with this big breakthrough candle, when it came down here, it was support again here. Okay, so there are several spots on the 1 day candles where this price level, the price hit and bounced back up. So if you are selling here, maybe this is a spot you'd look to take profit, thinking it could bounce off that price again. So let's say 103.35 as a take profit. So if I'm saying no stop loss for now, because we have AvaProtect for 2 days, and I'm saying take profit 103.35, what would I make? Okay, I would make better than double the cost of the protection. Okay, that's 2 days protection. What if I said, okay, 1 day protection? Maybe I think it could come rushing down in 1 day. Well, then saves me a bit. It's still better than 2 to 1, but not 3 to 1. I kind of like the 2 days protection. Okay, but maybe I'm looking at my stop loss, and since I have 2 days, maybe I go to the next support level. Maybe this could be big enough news to reach this next support level, which I see being right about here. Okay, you see where this candle shot up from, and you see support here from these 1 day candles. So if it just breaks this little level, then maybe it takes a dive to the next price down here, and we have 2 days to wait. So you don't have to put your stop loss close because you have 2 days protection. So I think I'll stretch this down to here to 102.68, and I'll go a bit above that, 102.70 maybe, or 102.75. And now I kind of like that setup, because for 2 days movement, maybe it can get down to this support level here and would only need to break this little support level here, and I'd be looking at $1,500 profit, about 4 times the cost of the protection. Okay, so if I'm interested in that, now I can start to look at the cost of the protection and say, you know what, I'm willing to risk 1% of my balance maybe. Okay, my balance is 56,000, and 1% of that would be about 560. So this is less than 1% risk. Maybe I'm willing to risk 1%. So maybe I'm going to go 1.2 lots. That's still way less than 1%. 1.4. Okay, I'm getting closer. 1.45. Okay, that's about 1%. 562 would be 1%. I'm at 567, almost exactly 1% risk. Okay, and you can risk the amount you want, but the point is it's helping me risk manage my trade. Once I got my exit point, right, now I know my potential profit ratio. Now I'm just changing the overall trade size so that my risk is kept where I want it. And in this case, my risk is determined by the cost of the protection. This is my risk for 2 days. Okay, once the protection nears its end, then I can check again and see if I'm looking to close early before it hits the take profit. If it's in the negative, maybe I want to close and reopen with a stop loss, and I'll get paid the negative from the protection, okay? But this is my risk, plus or minus a little bit in swap cost, or actually you might gain swaps selling the Euro USD. I have to check the swap rates. I think it pays maybe in the sell direction and you pay in the buy direction on swaps, but swaps for 2 days are very little. It's not really something to worry about for a couple day trade. And so I'm all set up, going for 2,200 profit approximately for a cost of 56 or 567. Okay, so I sell 2 days protection. I can wait 2 days now for this to hopefully go my way. And if it doesn't, I'm not losing anything more than what I already put into it. And I don't care if leading up to this announcement now, this goes spiking up past this resistance temporarily, which it very well could before a potential drop. I really don't care because I don't have a stop loss. I'll go back in a couple days and assess whether I want to add a stop loss to add a second type of risk management. But for now, I can just check my trade here, okay? And if I click on the info in the open trades, I can see exactly how much time I have left on my protection. So I'm protected for 45 hours and 42 minutes more. So any negative during this time or at the end of the protected time period, if I close the trade or the protection ends, whatever negative floating, if it goes the wrong way, that's added back to your account by the protection. If you get stopped out, all the negative loss from the trade gets added back to your account from the protection if you're stopped out during the protection. Okay, or if the trade's still running when the protection ends, whatever the negative floating is gets added back and the trade keeps running. If it's in the positive, all the profit's yours. Okay, only risk during this time period is what we paid for the protection. So very, very nice feature. We'll see, maybe this just starts moving our way sooner rather than later. I suspect there'll be some bouncing though with the FOMC committee rate decision coming. But this is a way to use AvaProtect during times when you expect high volatility, and absolutely there's going to be high volatility in the next several hours for the very least, and probably after that. Another thing to keep in mind, fundamentally, Microsoft and Tesla, some other large companies are reporting their quarterly earnings and revenue at US market close today. Okay, so that could shake things up as well. So I kind of expect maybe the US 500 to move one way with the FOMC announcement, which could be down, no guarantee. And then maybe if the earnings numbers come in better than expected for Microsoft and Tesla and some of these companies, then you could see a rebound back the other way, okay, especially for the equities. We'll see how that goes though. There's no guarantee how Microsoft and Tesla and these other companies, how their earnings will come in, but that's in the backdrop. So you want to risk manage your trades, okay, which is why AvaProtect is a perfect thing. We could look at something like gold. And if we expand that chart, okay, these are 1 hour candles. We see gold has been pushing down today. Down, 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 down. There's a bit of a support level here at 2750, okay, ish. This is an area where it hit and went back up. And then once it came down, it had trouble going back above. And then once it came above, it acted as support today, okay? And it's testing this level. If it breaks this price level, it looks like the next level of support for gold is down here, okay, right about here. You see here where it hit and went up and hit and went up. Okay, so if this does break here, it feels like this could keep dropping down quite a bit further. Okay, and with the rate decision, if they hold the interest rate and then talk bullish about moving forward, that they think the market will be too strong to cut interest rates, you could see maybe the USD strengthen further and cause gold to break this support level. So it's a possibility there. Again, with the rate decision, you're going to see a lot of volatility. Okay, if you want to try and anticipate one way or the other, if you want to buy on gold because you think the fear will drive gold back up, or if you want to sell because you think maybe the USD will strengthen, whichever you want to do, you can use AvaProtect just like we did on the Euro USD. you can pick your direction and use AvaProtect with gold as well. Okay. I suspect, at least in the short term, gold might try to break this support level and push down. Okay. Obviously, there's no guarantee of that, but if that was my suspicion that that might happen, then I might be inclined to use AvaProtect. I might be looking at the sell side. Again, you could go on the buy side. The point here is the technical analysis look and the idea that if this breaks this support level, we could look for further dropping. And my take profit then would be at this support level down here, anticipating a broken support here. So that would be around 27.35. So if I'm putting take profit, 27, say 36, just to be slightly above that support level. Okay. AvaProtect for 1 hour is $2,000. Obviously, I can change my trade size here. If I want to protect like I did with Euro USD for a couple days, it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio to that take profit. To this take profit, I'm paying as much for the protection as I'll make. I really don't like that setup. Okay, so this doesn't set up as good for me with AvaProtect with the price levels as Euro USD did. With Euro USD, if it breaks one support level on the candles that we looked at, we could make 3 or 4 times the cost of the protection. With gold, if it breaks this support level, we're just breaking even with the cost of the protection. Don't forget, you pay that up front. So even if we win the trade, we don't really win much here, ratio-wise, okay? So I think I'm gonna not do AvaProtect in this example because it doesn't set up as nice. And maybe I'd be looking at a pending order below this support level, that if it breaks this support level, to sell. Okay, a sell stop type pending order where if it breaks the support, you sell with anticipation of further dropping. But that's up to you. I think with the rate decision coming right now in a couple hours, it easily could come down, trigger your sell, bounce back up before going back down if it was going to drop further. So because of the huge announcement coming, I don't like the pending order idea. I like the AvaProtect idea. Okay, so we could look at some other instruments in different classes. US 500. Let me do that search again. Okay, now we have the US 500 chart. There is a signal. We could have looked at gold. There was also a signal. This is a buy signal in the US 500. I'm not so surprised by that. But at the same time, that's a short-term signal. We'll see what happens as we get closer to the announcement. But you see the dropping that occurred here over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of dropping. So this is a little bounce back up with a short-term signal buy off of this support level. Bigger picture, we'll see, especially with what the FOMC statement is. I might be looking with pending orders here. If this comes back up to this resistance level, I could be looking for a potential sell pending order. To set up a pending order, just simply go and click on execute when price hits. If this comes up to 61.04, okay, I could be looking at entering here. Take profit then could be down where it spiked down to, down here, or you could be looking even at this low point here where it just bounced off of. So if I'm putting take profit here, that's 60.70. Okay, I'm looking at 5,000 profit. Stop loss, it would be 3,000 risk. So if that's the setup I want, now I just need to adjust my trade size. So if I do 0.2, I'm risking less than 1% of my balance, 420. 0.25, that might about do it. 525, maybe 0.3. Okay, 630, 0.27. That's about it. That's about 1% of my balance. 567, just like the Euro USD trade. And this time without AvaProtect, because that's not available on the US 500. And so what we're looking at is potential profit 918, risk 567. Okay, trying to make almost 2%, little less, risking 1%. That's only if it would come up and hit our entry price up here, just below this resistance level. And so with the current circumstances, that seems like a decent entry point, because from the technical analysis, that's a nice resistance level at the bottom of a gap from the start of the week. Okay, and it gives room for this to spike up and before you get in, with the potential then to pull back down. We'll see how that works out. The volatility is why I'm expecting that this could spike up before any potential further dropping, if it is going to drop. So you always have to play your technical analysis into what's happening fundamentally as well. Okay. Any questions, comments before we end the session? I think this is a good place to stop for now, give you time to prepare for those announcements that are coming up, and maybe you find some entry points and some trades you'd like to make. Any questions, comments? Okay, great. Thank you for joining. Good luck with your trading. Just watch the volatility. It could be a good time for AvaProtect, like I demonstrated. It's a unique way to protect your trades, and you can play your technical analysis right into the strategy, along with protecting with that special tool, especially in line with these huge volatile events like the FOMC rate decision and such. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Good luck with your trading. Bye for now.